Has Untappd jumped the shark with their new update? What's up, everybody? It's the Ginger Yeti, and I want to talk about Untappd. If you don't know what jump the shark means, it's something that came from Happy Days. It basically is kind of like it means that a product, or especially TV shows, artwork, have started to decline in quality. So that's and the reference came from Happy Days. Anyways, so if you don't know what Untappd is is a beer app, and it was founded by Greg Avola and Tim Mathers in 2010, 15 years ago. It is, or at least it was, an app that allowed users to check in as they drank different beers. You could share these check-ins and the locations and things with your friends, which is really cool and fun. You could also find like new beers, different beers through the app. But in 2016, Next Glass, a company called Next Glass, bought Untappd. And then Next Glass, if you don't know who they are, which I didn't know who they were, it's a global provider of software, data, e-commerce, and marketing solutions for beverage and alcohol industry. So Untappd went from being two dudes who just decided they wanted some sort of app to, log in their beers, kind of made a social app for beers. I mean, some of the things I've read about it said that they started this app with about $1,000, which is crazy because of how much it's taken off over the years. But it went from being just this independent app with two dudes that were like running it to now this corporation who, in my opinion, is completely out of touch with the beer community running the app. And Next Glass, they're the parent company to a lot of popular brands. You may not know this. Not only do they own Untappd, they own Beer Advocate, Audi, Osner, Hop Culture, and many other different beverage kind of companies. So back in 2021, Greg stepped down from being the CEO, but he still apparently serves as like an executive advisor. However, Tim completely stepped away from the company in 2019. And that's probably about the time I think Untappd jumped the shark. So I started using Untappd years and years ago. Back in about, I think it was 2011, I had watched a documentary. A Beer Day with TK showed me a documentary called Beer Tickers, Beyond the Ale. It was on Netflix at the time. I'm sure you could still find it somewhere. And the documentary followed this gentleman around while he was on his quest to try every beer, basically. And during the filming of the documentary, he had actually tasted his 40,000th unique beer. That's 40,000. 40,000 unique beers. 40,000 different beers, which is insane to me. And at the time, I'd been into craft beer for a little while, but didn't realize how big craft beer was. Had no idea there were that many beers back then. And after watching that, I'd made a comment that I wanted to try every beer in the world. So not long after seeing that documentary, I was reading Beer Magazine, which doesn't exist anymore, but it was a really fun, lighthearted magazine all about beer. And there was a advertisement in it for Untappd. As soon as I saw that, I got on my stupid BlackBerry, realized that I couldn't download the app, but I could use the website version on the web browser on my BlackBerry to use it. So I signed up and started using it in September of 2011. So I started using it within the first year-ish or so of it coming out. And I've been on it ever since. And it was super awesome because not only was I now logging into all the different beers, I have a list of all the different beers that I had tried. It helped me to discover new beers, styles I'd never even heard of. You can collect fake badges, which was really fun at the time. And you get your friends involved in it. It was a really fun app. And like one of the things that I have to really credit Untappd for was getting me into sours. I'd never heard of sours before. And Untappd had a sour badge. So Beer Day with TK and I went and looked for sours. And the first time we had a sour, we thought the beer had gone bad. We had no idea that the sours were supposed to be that way. And when we first tasted it, we were like, wow, what the F? Is this a bad beer? And then we learned that's what they're supposed to taste like. And after drinking one or two, I really got a taste for them. I really love sours. I don't think I ever would have tried a sour if it wasn't for the Untappd app. And since then, I've logged in over 7,800 unique beers as of the recording of this video. And, throughout the years, there's been numerous updates to the app, made it better. Once I got a proper smartphone, I was able to download the app and use it. But in the beginning, I couldn't even take pictures or rate the beers. But then you could rate beers, you could take pictures, you could do all kind of things with it that were beer related. However, after Next Glass bought the app, they stopped putting, like one of the first big changes they did is they stopped putting out holiday badges. Back when Tim and Greg were the ones running it, every year they put out holiday badges, Halloween, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah. There's a bunch of others. They do a Super Bowl badge, St. Patrick's Day, all kind of things. And some people will argue, oh, well, those are only American holidays, or those aren't really global holidays and things. But Untappd, unfortunately, has always been a very America or very USA-centric app. And it still kind of is. I think it's even more so now than before Next Glass bought it. Because in the mid to late teens, Untappd started to try to do more international things. You could get Untappd introduced local badges, and they were local international badges. There were badges for like international beer festivals and things. And Greg and Tim are starting to try to expand it to the international market. And I think Next Glass has sucked that back in some of their updates now and has made it more American-centric again. Because when they got rid of the holiday badges, they switched to mainly sponsored beer badges. So a beer company pays to have a badge to encourage people to go buy that beer, check it in, so they can get the badge. Now, Untappd always had those. In the early days of Untappd, 6 Point used to do a lot of sponsored badges. And a beer day with TK and I would always go out and try to find the 6 Point beers just so we get the badge. So it's not like the sponsored badge is something that Next Glass introduced. But it seems like that's their big push now, is the sponsored badges. And the majority of beer companies that sponsor badges are American beer companies, which is why I say it's bringing it back into being a more America-centric app because of what Next Glass is doing with it. However, last couple of years, they started spamming emails to all the users. Every time you check in, you immediately get an email. And they were trying to sell you some sort of beer box, sell you some sort of THC drinks, which I don't think belong on the app to begin with, or just their swag in general, their merchandise. I don't mind them sending me an email once in a while. Hey, we've got this new beer box, or hey, we've got this new merchandise coming out. That's fine. But almost every time I would check in, I would get a new email from them trying to sell me something. Or at least every day I would check in, then I would check a beer in. As soon as I checked in, I would get an email from them. Just bam. Buy this THC drink. Here's a THC special. And that was the really bad ones. I didn't mind the beer boxes so much because at least that is related to the app because it was a beer-centric app. But then they just went full bore into the THC drinks. And I understand there's a market for them, but this is a beer-centric app. It's a beer app. There's no alcohol in THC beverages, so why were they even marketing or trying to market THC beverages to the beer drinkers? That's kind of a dumb move, in my opinion, on their part. I think a lot of users kind of got bummed on them about it, but I don't know that for sure. But the amount of spam email was quite annoying. However, if you're watching this video, you probably know that recently there's been a huge update, and it's a pretty crazy one. So one of the big things they did is not only did they relabel beers to drinks, so now it's no longer a beer app, it's a drink app. And they relabeled breweries as brands, and they even changed venues to places. But the most egregious change I think they made is they now allow any liquid to be checked into on Untappd. Anything. So if you go look at their drink guidelines, their guidelines say, or include, beer, cider, mead, wine, sake and rice ferments, hard seltzer, kombucha, malt drinks, fermented soft drinks, ready-to-drink cocktails, spirits, aperitifs, digestives, THC drinks, apple wine, and then all of the non-alcoholic variants of those above listed beverages. So basically anything that's that's liquid and packaged. And even though they don't specifically list bottled water or sparkling water brands, as of this recording, you can check those in too. I think that's completely absurd. This was a beer-centric app. It's about checking the beers, logging your beers. Why ruin it? Why clutter it up with all these other beverages? I just don't understand. They're pushing away a lot of their core users from this. I mean, why ruin the beer-centric app with all this? There's if you look around out there, there are some whiskey apps. They're not the best, but there are some whiskey apps. There's been some wine apps for years. I don't think anybody really wants to check in their Evian bottled water or their Waterloo sparkling water or anything like that. Unironically, maybe I've seen a lot of people start checking into Dr. Peppers and dumb shit like that to be ironic and kind of as a protest against the new format, the new update to the app. So if you look at the social medias, Reddit, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you go, there's been a lot of discussion about this, a lot of pushback on it. A lot of people are not happy with it at all. And it seems like because of these changes over the last few years, both beer drinkers and especially like bar owners and brewery owners have started getting away from the platform, especially since Next Glass has bought the app. A lot of beer drinkers are now saying they can't trust everybody's ratings anymore. A lot of the owners dislike the possibility that their product could receive low ratings and negatively impact sales. And I have heard over the years a lot of brewers complain about Untappd because, and I'm guilty of this too, people will rate a beer but not leave any comment why they rated it. And the other thing is, or why they rated it, gave it the rating that they gave it. And the other thing is, a lot of people will get a beer that will be perfect, like the most brilliant example of the style, but they don't like the style, so they'll rate it very poorly when it is a phenomenal beer. And I get it's a kind of a personal app, and you're really rating it based on your own taste. But even if you don't like a beer, if it's a good example of the style, I do feel you should give it at least a half-decent rating and put a note in there like why you rated it that way. Although, again, I have been guilty of that in the past. And the other problem is, especially with Next Glass owning it, the prices for the platform, like the Untappd things that breweries and bars can use on their end, on the back end of the platform, the TV menus and all those things, they're just getting way too expensive. And there's now a lot of other options out there. So a lot of these people are moving away from Untappd, which is sad to see. Because I really enjoyed being able to go on Untappd, look at a brewery or a bar near me or near wherever I am at the time, and see their beer list, see the prices, see what they have to offer there before I go check it out. I'm a beer guy. I don't care about their soda selection or their whiskey selection or their wine selection. I want to see their beer selection. That's why I want a beer app. So again, like social media, it's kind of a mixed bag, but it seems to be leaning more towards people are not happy with it. And now it's going to be cluttered with a lot of non-beer drinks. I wonder what's going to happen now with locations. And when you go to the map option to see what's around, verified venues, are they going to now start verifying venues that are whiskey bars, verify wine bars, verify soda bars? Like, who knows? It's probably going to make it harder to find good beer spots, good breweries, good locations in general to go check it out. So at least they did give the option that if you go in through settings, you can turn all that nonsense off and kind of keep it mainly beer still. Me personally, has Untappd jumped the shark? Absolutely. If I wasn't almost 8,000 beers in on Untappd, I would stop using it right now. If I can find a comparable app that's just beer-centric, I'll pay the $5 or whatever to go and be a Untappd supporter so I can download all my data and try to transfer it to a new app. Because having all this other junk on there, it's just lost me. It's unnecessary. If they wanted to make a whiskey app, they should have made a whiskey app. They could have cloned Untappd and then called it Uncorked and made it a wine app. Made it look exactly the same, just all about wine. Done the same thing with whiskey, called it Uncast or something, and done a whiskey app. Instead of just trying to combine all these things together, they could have just easily cloned the app, renamed them, kind of did some tweaks on it, and it'd have been fine. And people who are whiskey drinkers would have flocked to it. People who are wine drinkers would have flocked to it. I don't know how much wine drinkers care, but I know a lot of whiskey drinkers do care about different whiskeys, trying different whiskeys, getting into like the rare whiskeys and things, kind of like beer drinkers do. I don't know why they didn't do that. But I think it's bullshit. They've totally jumped the shark on this. It's very disappointing. The craziest thing is it's been out for about a week or so now as of the recording of this video, and they have been dead silent on the changes. Dead silent on the complaints. Anytime somebody complains on their social media, they won't even acknowledge it. If you send a support email about it, it's just a generic copy-paste kind of response like you'd expect from a politician. Like Nextglass just does not care about the user base. They don't care about the Untappd users at all. And frankly, I think they're just trying to push everybody away so they can just get rid of the app. I really believe that's what they're trying to do. I think it's a sign of more bad changes and disastrous changes to come on Untappd. And it's really sad to me. Again, I've been using this app since 2011. Almost 15 years now. And it was an amazing app. I really enjoyed it. But and again, some people are going to say, oh, you just hate change. You're just a hater. It's not that. It's a beer-centric app. The whole point of using it was because it was beer. I don't need a lot of other garbage involved. I can remember times when I tried to add things which I didn't realize weren't beer. I thought they were malt liquor based and they weren't. And I was told, no, that doesn't qualify, doesn't count. And now those things are absolutely part of the app, which I don't think they should be. If it's not a beer base, a malt base, like carbonated, like beer or malt liquor, those kinds of things. Even ciders are kind of iffy on me. I guess I get ciders being on there. A lot of these hard teas and those kind of things, don't really think they should be on there either, but they are kind of malt liquor based. But whiskey, wine, all this other crap shouldn't be on there, and that's my opinion. Let me know down below if you have a different opinion. If you use Untappd and you have used it recently and seen the new updates, let me know what you think of those down below. If you made it this far, thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. I hope Untappd starts taking all the backlash seriously, all the comments seriously, and they do something to correct that, bring it back to being more of a beer-centric app. But who knows? But thank you again for watching, and as always, embrace the adventure.